Welcome to another episode of the Nintendo Powercast Nintendo News Minute. I'm your host, N64 Josh. Before we jump into this, I want to let you guys know that if you're thinking about getting into the content game, or you're already there, but you want to upgrade some gear, you can head on over to n64josh.com/Elgato. And at checkout, you can use coupon code ZZ-N64Josh. A few of the products that I do recommend: the Stream Deck Plus. The Stream Deck pedal is super useful. It's how I switch scenes during this show. Also, I have my key light over here and the ring light over here, which also holds my camera. The camera, of course, is running into the Camlink 4K. Pretty much anything that I am using for content is touching something Elgato. So just keep that in mind if you're thinking about getting into the content game. They also have a budget-friendly option called the Neo series, which if you just want to start dipping your toes in the water without breaking the bank, check those out as well. Again, n64josh.com/Elgato. Let's jump into the news. First up, we are going to be starting with a leak. This is over at gamingbible.com, and this is a Nintendo Switch 2 leak. Confirms feature that we've all been begging for. I love that a leak is confirming something, even though it is a leak. So, as always, grain of salt with this stuff, but some conversations happening over on Reddit that are making their ways through the interwebs here. So, looking at the article, it says the Nintendo Switch successor is shaping up to be a fine console indeed. After a leak has seemingly confirmed a feature fans have been desperate to see included. Even though Nintendo has said on more than one occasion that the Switch 2 isn't coming out this year, that hasn't stopped the rumor mill. There's been so many different rumors. In fact, industry insiders are suggesting that the next Nintendo console's arrival is imminent. Before the Switch 2, there is The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom, which they have a trailer on the article for, because I mean, why not? Beautiful game. Nintendo keeps showing more and more things. Funny little side note, one of their latest tweets has Zelda doing a bed echo and then just falling asleep while one of the enemies is taking out another enemy for her. Like, one of her echoes is smashing a plant while she's taking a nap, because when you nap, you get hearts back. So pretty cool little addition to the game there. But back to the article, it says, without official confirmation, we have to take these claims with a pinch of salt, like I said. Still, that isn't to say that we can't get excited about leaks that have come from verified sources. Again, quotes there. Backwards compatibility is a feature we all want in our new consoles, yet it's one that has been known to get overlooked, at least initially. Apparently, though, this isn't the case for backwards compatibility on the Switch 2. When Adrian 190303 shared that the Switch 2 has seemingly entered mass production on Reddit, this led to fellow Redditor Nate the Hate 2 saying it has backwards compatibility support. While caution is always advised, Nate the Hate has been proven to be a genuinely reliable source. So saith the Reddit community. Although that doesn't make him infallible, it does lend weight to his claim. Yet, while this is a welcome piece of information, there are some folks who think it is silly that we're even discussing backwards compatibility as only a possibility. One of the Redditors wrote, "There's absolutely no way people are still talking about backwards compatibility. It's gonna have it. We've known this for countless years. They aren't just gonna randomly throw away millions for nothing. Even if that's the case, it's still good to confirm," says King of Grapes. Whether you see this as an obvious feature or a delightful surprise, we can all agree that backwards compatibility is a must for Nintendo moving forward. Now, if we could just get a press release from Nintendo about the Switch 2's launch, which I agree, that would be fantastic to finally get some official news, right? We want to know when this thing is officially launching. I'm ready. We're all ready. If you're listening to this, I know you're ready. You're as hungry as the rest of us for some news on the Switch 2. And for me, like, I want some more Mario Kart. I want some new Mario Kart. It's been 10 years, okay? I want some new Mario Kart. And when it comes to backwards compatibility, it seems the massive push throughout the Switch's generation towards digital, assuming, like, remember early rumors about the Switch 2 that there's going to be two models, one is a digital only and one is a physical. I think they are kind of catering to both camps. You have people like, well, I would say like Johnny Bo, who was, all digital and is now changed his tune and is collecting physical. But for those people that are all digital, there's no reason to go with the physical Switch 2, if that is the case, if that is true, because we can just assume that our libraries moving forward are going to continue to be backwards compatible. You might even save yourself the ability, or you may have the ability to play your games longer if they're digital, because they may go with you through the next couple of consoles. There is that possibility if they're digital. Will they continue using the cart that they used on the Switch, and we can assume they're going to be using on the Switch 2? Is that going to happen on the Switch 3 or whatever, 10 years from now, whenever that console is? Which is just crazy to think about. Another like 7 to 10 years, we see another new Nintendo console, but that's just the way it works. So I don't think it's much of a question that we're going to see backwards compatibility. I do want to see something confirmed about it. I know a lot of us have a relatively decent sized libraries and not everything is digital. So being able to put those carts into the next system, if needed, is a nice touch. Can we just pull out the old Switch and play those games? Sure, but not as convenient. And some people will sell their old system and trade it in so they can pay for the new one, in which case those games will be rendered completely useless if there's not backwards compatibility. So I'm not too surprised by this. I would say that this is probably true. I don't really question too much when it comes to this particular topic about this particular leak. I think it's pretty obvious. I'm kind of with some of the other Redditors that just say, yeah, this is going to happen. It seems silly to think that it's not going to happen. So, all right. Well, moving on to my Nintendo news. Tokyo Game Show, TGS 2024. Level 5 announces its lineup. So the article reads, Level 5 has announced what it plans to show to the general public at this year's Tokyo Game Show, which kicks off this month in Japan. There are some heavy hitters that will be showcased by the company, including Professor Layton and the New World of Steam, and the intriguing Deca Police. Level 5 will also be holding a live broadcast as part of the Tokyo Game Show 2024, where the company plans to provide updates on existing titles, as well as perhaps show some new ones. So here's the lineup. Deca Police, which is coming to PS5, PS4, and Switch. Fantasy Life, The Girl Who Steals Time, which is coming to Switch. And Deca Police will be just a video showcase. Fantasy Life will be playable and a live broadcast. Inazuma 11, Victory Road, is PS5, PS4, Switch, iOS, and Android. That will be playable and a live broadcast. And Professor Layton and the New World of Steam, coming to Switch, will be playable and a live broadcast. So there you go. There's some exciting news. I know there are some pretty big fans of Professor Layton, and it's not a series I've ever spent much time with, but I do know that it's beloved by many, and it's nice to see that it keeps going. And it's one of those series that I always just associate with Nintendo. Like, I don't know that it's in any other console. It always seemed like, I honestly thought it was first party, which it's not, but I always kind of assumed it was. So, and nice to see that the series is continuing on and adding one more game to the Switch library. I'm not sure on the release date. Let's see. Maybe I can find the release date here. Looking like the game has been pushed back to 2025. So who knows? Maybe it'll end up being a Switch 2 title. We'll just have to wait and see. Well, moving on over to Nintendo Life, we've got a vehicle building sandbox. Besiege brings medieval mayhem to Switch today. This is the following a hugely successful launch on Steam back in 2020. Indie developer Spiderling Studios has brought the physics-based medieval vehicle builder Besiege to Switch. What's more, it's available right now. This is a game that will see you building deadly devices to take on whichever army is unlucky enough to stand in your way. What you build is entirely your call, with over 70 different blocks at your disposal and enough inspiration out there to keep you going for a while. Just take a look at the above trailer. I'm going to go ahead and play this thing here. We'll go full screen on it if you are viewing this on YouTube or Spotify. So looks okay. This takes me back to being a kid. I'm not going to lie. This really, really does. I used to play a game called Crossbows and Catapults, and this looks like something that could be right up my alley. So as you can see, if you're watching the video, they're essentially building catapults, and that one they turned into a helicopter, and it looks like you're just looking for different ways to destroy the structures and some ground troops. Okay, this I'm gonna have to. This is getting downloaded. This one is most definitely getting downloaded. This trailer has sold me for sure. This looks to be a lot of fun. If the vibes I'm getting from it, if you're just listening, you're not seeing any of the footage. I'm getting like Tears of the Kingdom, creating with building stuff in that game, vehicles and whatnot, but then just causing massive mayhem with them. It looks like it's almost like a puzzle game in a way, where it's like, your objective is to destroy a building. So you build the device however you see fit. As long as you take out the building, you win. So probably nobody is going to play this game the same way, which is very cool. Just taking a look at a little more of the article here. It says, since its Steam launch, Besiege has pulled in over 43,000 reviews, the majority of which are overwhelmingly positive. The Switch version comes equipped with full touchscreen support for more precise building, a 55-level single-player campaign, and room to share your builds online. You'll find a rundown of the game's key features and a handful of screenshots from publisher Ultimate Games below. Single-player campaign with 55 levels, 3 sandbox environments, 70-plus weapons, blocks, devices, mechanisms to build machines, a suite of advanced building tools, a workshop to download other players' machines and upload your own to share, and touch controls for interactive building and destruction. So there you go. It's $19.99 on the eShop right now. And seriously, the 1-minute trailer is all it took for me to be sold. Moving on here. Sonic Team would love to remaster the Advance series, says Takahashi Iizuka. It says, like most Sonic fans, we here at Nintendo Life love the GBA Advance series. This is me too. Like, you guys, if you've listened to this show for a long time, you've heard me talk about like my days working in the refinery with my GBA and playing Sonic Advance. My buddy and I would do time trials through the first level. We would basically, it's just like NES World Championships. We would try to beat, and it would clock your time. And so he'd shave a couple seconds or shave a few milliseconds and then hand it to me. And then I'd shave a few milliseconds. And then, we'd try like holding down at the beginning and smashing the A button as fast as we could. These are great titles. These are fantastic Sonic titles. Like so good. I would pick these up in a heartbeat if they came out on the Switch. So just taking a look here, it says, we have fond memories of playing through the Advanced Trilogy and even the related fighting RPG and pinball spinoffs in the early 2000s. But the bar on Sonic N-Gage port and Virtual Console release in Japan, we haven't had the chance to play them on any new hardware since. With the fan adoration of these games, a remake or remaster feels like a no-brainer. No? Well, in recent interview with VGC, Sonic team head Takahashi Iizuka confessed that he would very much be up for it. When asked about the potential of an advanced series re-release, be that as a remaster collection or on the GBA NSO library, Iizuka quickly flagged that there are no plans for any such remake or remaster at the moment, but he cryptically added, "We don't know what the future holds." Interesting. Very interesting. Bringing up on how Sonic Origins reintroduced fans to the Blue Blur's original and CD appearances, Iizuka said that the Sonic team would love to do something similar for the Advance series if we have the chance. Here's the full quote from the VGC interview. It says, "There are currently no plans for the Sonic Adventure series to be remade or remastered, but we don't know what the future holds." Tatsuyuki Shigehara was a director on Sonic Origins, which took Sonic 1, 2, and 3 in CD, and we remastered that and brought it out for fans to enjoy. And if we have the chance, if there's an opportunity for the Advanced series to get that treatment, or whatever circumstances may pop up, we'd love to do it. So sure, the no plans makes this about as far as the confirmation as we can get, but it's still exciting idea. Whatever opportunities need to arise, make it happen, Sega. And I'm honestly there. Like if there's a chance for this to happen, I would in a heartbeat pick up the Advance series collection or whatever they would end up doing, because that is those are games that I just adored. Sonic games that I adored. Like I played the other ones, I enjoyed the other ones, but Sonic Advance, and honestly, just to play that first level over and over again would be very, very nostalgic for me. Taking a look at another article here, Beyond Galaxyland overview trailer and showcase a compelling narrative RPG. So let's take a look at the trailer here. I'm going to go ahead and go full screen, and the pixel art, guys, if you're only listening, looks really, really great. It kind of like a really cool looking graphics. I love seeing pixel art. If you guys have listened for a while, you know how much I am a fan of pixel art. And the game's given me kind of some almost kind of some Mass Effect vibes a little bit, but it's like a 2D, looks kind of like a Metroidvania style game, but it's an RPG. But it looks like there's a lot of exploration. It looks vast. That's really the best way I can put it. It also kind of reminds me, the main character kind of reminds me of Prince of Persia, like the old Prince of Persia games. And so this one has my attention. It really, really does. If you're not able to see the trailer, I recommend going and checking out Beyond Galaxyland. And this it has those kind of like 80s movie, like maybe like a Ready Player One kind of scenario, or like some of the, like, I don't know, like E.T. or The Last Starfighter. That's kind of some of the vibes that it's given, honestly. So if you're into some stuff like that, this may be one that you want to check out. Give you a little bit of from the developer here. It says, explore the many extraordinary worlds of Galaxyland in an adventure to save the Earth. Experience a thrilling story that pays homage to your favorite retro sci-fi movies. Like I said, form a party of diverse companions to overcome foes in a tactical turn-based combat. Capture enemies in combat to later unleash as allies or buffs during future battles. Craft new armors and consumables to aid Doug and his pals on their journey. Engage in over 25 epic boss battles with the universe's most feared adversaries. A truly unique soundtrack unlike anything you've heard, at least on this planet, with over 50 diverse tracks spanning a myriad of genres, from electric to hip-hop to piano-heavy blues. So just taking a look at the trailer, honestly, like I think it looks solid. And also the fact that it's kind of leaning into retro sci-fi movies, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. So curious to learn more about this one. It looks like it's going to be hitting the eShop on the 24th. So we're not far out for this one. And it's looking like, seeing if there's a price. I don't see, it doesn't look like they're showing the price anywhere, but this thing looks vast. It looks like there's some love put into this, no question. So keep an eye out for that, and go check out a trailer. If you're an RPG fan, you like pixel art, and you like, retro sci-fi movies, this is probably right up your alley. Okay, so next up, this is honestly pretty rad, and it's got to do with the Nintendo Museum, and it is the manhole covers. So hopefully you're seeing the video of this, but it's just a random article from Nintendo Life. It says even the manhole covers look cool at the Nintendo Museum, and it's got a Game Boy with Pikachu and a Pokeball with the word Pokemon, and kind of just like almost like pixels coming out of it, like Pikachu's jumping out of the Game Boy, and just so cool. Taking a look at the article here, it says it's easy to dazzle us Nintendo fans with a giant Wiimote or a Toad barbershop quartet and a wall of pristine NES games. But to make a manhole cover exciting, that feels a bit of a stretch. And then the article says, oh my God, is that Pikachu? Nintendo has revealed a special manhole cover, which will be housed in Kyoto's Nintendo Museum. And it's quite the looker. Thanks to Go Nintendo. Nope, we never thought we'd be saying that about a manhole cover either, but here we are. The design puts Pikachu front and center, naturally, with the iconic Electro type leaping from a classic Game Boy, with an explosive array of colors in the pixel background, with a bright Pokeball thrown in for good measure. We'd be pretty confident in saying that this is one of the prettiest manhole covers we've ever seen. A big statement. We're sure you all agree, of course. And it looks super cool. Super cool. And great to see, plenty of Pokemon at the Nintendo Museum, as they are just such a huge part of Nintendo's history. Like, really cool to see. Something as silly as a manhole cover. And it's, from the looks of it, you guys, like it's not just like put over the top. Like, this has been forged. This looks like it has been forged in steel and then painted. So no small feat, I would assume. And pretty amazing, honestly. Pretty amazing. So if you don't get a chance, I'm gonna make like a TikTok and a YouTube short of this, so that you guys can see it on some of my other channels if you're just listening to the audio right now, because this is amazing. Really cool. Next up, Tales of the Shire, a Lord of the Rings game, is getting a Hobbit Day showcase, so we can tune in on the 22nd of September. So Private Division and Weta Workshop have announced that Tales of the Shire, a Lord of the Rings game, will be getting its own showcase as part of the upcoming Hobbit Day celebrations on the 22nd of September 2024. In case you're unaware, Hobbit Day is pretty well known within the Tolkien community and represents the respective birthdays of Bilbo and Frodo Baggins, the former of which was 111 and hasn't aged a day, don't you know? Generally, some fans like to emulate the celebrations held for Bilbo during a long-expected party chapter of Tolkien's book, while others simply opt to spend the day with bare feet. It also presents an opportunity for libraries to shed light on Tolkien's work and get more folks reading. Always a good thing, if you ask us. As for the showcase, it will commence at 10:30 Pacific on September 22nd. Though its duration hasn't been specified at the time of writing, it has also been confirmed that fans will be able to partake in a Q&A immediately following the showcase, during which developers will be shining light on specific topics. We're also expecting Private Division will finally shed some light on the game's release date. For a while now, all we've had to go on is rather vague second half of 2024 window. So it'd be nice to get a bit more information on this. This is one of those games that I don't know about you guys or what you think about the Tales of the Shire, but I kind of have a feeling it's going to surprise a lot of people. My gut feeling with this one is it's going to really give us some kind of Animal Crossing vibes, and it may end up being kind of a cult classic. And I hope it does. Like, it's a little bit like the graphics I don't necessarily love, but I'll be able to get past those if the gameplay is good. And if it is kind of like like I'm expecting, like a Sims-esque Animal Crossing meets Sims meets the Shire, I think there's the potential here for it to be pretty fun. I'm kind of even thinking more along the lines of a Harvest Moon, right? But set in the Lord of the Rings universe, which I think that's a fantastic idea. Curious how how this is all going to play out. I'm excited to learn more about this, and so it looks like we just got just 11 days, and we'll be able to learn more about Tales of the Shire and when it's coming out. Curious if it'll be before the holiday or not, but I am cautiously optimistic about this one, and kind of just watching from afar to see how things pan out with this one. But I do hope it's good. I hope it's really good. So this is kind of interesting. This is random. Okay. And I've seen this on a couple of different websites. It says the time players spend in a game is a cost. And Sakurai talks long run times, blocking out a week. Masahiro Sakurai is back with more words of wisdom in his latest YouTube video, which this time is a cautionary tale against long game runtimes. To be clear, Sakurai isn't against putting hundreds of hours into a game. He even apologizes for Smash Ultimate being such a time sink, but he says a game's length is something developers need to keep in mind throughout production. Lengthy games can be off-putting or extremely daunting, as Sakurai puts it, particularly for those who have other tasks and hobbies on their plates. If you have a game that takes hundreds of hours to finish, the legendary game designer notes, keep in mind that players will weigh that time against other things they could be doing. It might not be the hottest take from Mr. Smash Bros., but it's always great to get Sakurai's opinion on these things. What will we do with when the channel comes to an end, eh? Yeah, it's going to be sad. It's kind of been fun getting these different I usually just get little blurbs from Sakurai here and there, but I do like everything I've heard him say. Speaking of which, Sakurai took to Twitter to announce that this video is the final one in the planning and game design category. We still don't know exactly when the channel's grand finale will be released, but we do know he has already wrapped up filming it. So it's kind of an interesting take, right? They said it's not the hottest take, but you hear the debate of like the length of games, how long should they be, how short should they be? Does that tie into the overall value of a game based on how long it takes? Because as I was reading this, I'm thinking about games like Xenoblade Chronicles and Tears of the Kingdom, and some of these games you can other games you can beat relatively quick, and then people are like, yo, was that worth? But then if the games are too long, it's like, is it worth my time? And it's this how do you weigh against both of those things? It makes it quite difficult, honestly. And so really interesting topic, and maybe one that we'll dive into a little bit more on a full NPC, because I do think it's often debated the value of a game based on how long it is. But if the games are so long, do we want to invest that much time into it? Of course, you can let me know in the comments if you're listening on Spotify or if you're hearing this on YouTube, because I would love to hear your thoughts on what you think the perfect length of game should be. And again, if a game is super, super long and, you're only playing maybe before you go to bed or whatever, and it could take you months, kind of like reading a big book, it's no different, right? As far as like just slowly chipping away at it. But I'm just curious your thoughts. Do you like to get through the stories faster? Do you want to spend lots of time? I mean, I've got thousands of hours with Mario Kart, and I don't regret any of that. Like I love playing that game. So, but again, some of these other titles, they're sometimes hard to go back to as well. So it's interesting hearing his take on all this. Taking a look now, Konami doesn't want to rush Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 2. We just have to ask for everyone to give us time. So, Konami has reiterated its plans for a second volume of the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection, but admits it doesn't want to rush development after all the issues it had with the first collection. This update was shared during a Q&A segment with the latest Metal Gear production hotline broadcast, featuring the series production producer Noraki Akamura. Says after reconfirming the second volume is definitely happening, Akamura mentioned how the team is mindful of the fact that the first volume had a pretty rough launch. And so the aim is to avoid repeating the same mistake, which means the second collection could take some time. This is the direct quote here. It says, we're also worried about how volume 1 had a pretty rough launch with all the issues. So we're going to do everything we can to not repeat that. But we just have to ask for everyone to give us time. Back at the article, it says, although not much will necessarily be shared about the new collection in the future, the team still wants to check in with everybody on a regular basis, even with responses like "we can't answer that" or "we need more time." As for the games in the second collection, the team apparently still isn't sure about what might be included. Here's another quote. It says, looking at the potential titles, okay, it's like this. We had HD ports of Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3. Or, sorry, not really for 1, but the other 2. But most of the titles released after those don't have pre-existing HD ports we could use. Some are in HD, but those would be really big titles, and that comes with its own set of issues. So with all these factors to consider with the lineup, anything along the lines of what's in it or questions like how long will it be in development, when it will be out, it's going to be a little while until we can get a clear picture, but when we do, we will let you know. Finishing up the article here, it says the latest update follows a supposed finding on Konami's official site in 2023, which reportedly uncovered placeholder buttons for a number of Metal Gear titles, including Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of Patriots, Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, and Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. So there you go. We know the first one had a bit of a rough launch. Honestly, these are not games that I have ever played, and I would love to get into the first one. I know it's the first collection. I know they're well loved by a lot of people. But I tried, I think the third one, Metal Gear Solid 3, I think it might have been 4. I actually, looking at it now, I'm pretty sure it was 4. Let me see. Just taking a quick peek here over at Push Square, and yes, it was 4. And the graphics and the way the character moved, I couldn't handle it. I did not like essentially tank controls. It just did nothing for me, and I was not drawn in whatsoever. And I walked away from it. I think it was one of the games I purchased with my PlayStation 3, and was not really a fan. So I did not play very much of that at all, and I might have. I want to say I picked it up used and probably traded it back in or returned it so that I didn't lose out on any of that cash. So this is making me feel a bit old. Anniversary: Pokemon FireRed and Leaf Green turn 20 years old in the US, and fans would love to see them return. This is trying to get too excited, but the official Pokemon social media account this week acknowledged North America's 20th anniversary of Pokemon Fire Red version and Leaf Green version. These Game Boy Advance titles, originally released in 2004 in this region, were remakes of the original Pokemon titles on Game Boy. These newer releases were also compatible with the Game Boy Advance wireless adapter, allowing players to connect without cables. Continuing on here. It says, of course, the mere mention of this has already led to a bunch of requests, with many fans calling for these games to return via Nintendo Switch Online subscription service. Although there are already some Pokemon games on this retro service, we're yet to see a mainline release. The most recent Pokemon title to join the service is Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red Rescue Team, which was made available on the GBA service last month. This latest anniversary celebration of FireRed and Leaf Green follows the Japanese one earlier this year in January. And they end with the question, would you like to see the mainline Pokemon games show up on Nintendo's subscription service eventually? The answer is absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. We have been waiting a long time to see these games make their way to Nintendo Switch Online. And I think they would be a great addition. I don't know anybody that wouldn't want to jump back in to some of these classic Pokemon titles. And when these anniversaries come and go, and we don't get to see these titles show up in any way other than just a tweet, kind of a bummer. We had the anniversary of Mario Kart. Nothing really happened. Even the anniversary of Mario sometimes is kind of weak. And with as hungry as so many of the fans are for these titles, to have something when they launch would be great. So it's a bummer that we're not really seeing anything from the 20th anniversary of either of these titles, because it seems like a missed opportunity in my opinion, which is just a bummer. Well, we're gonna get back into the rumor mill here. Multiple new Switch bundles are apparently on the way. One is expected to be the Mario Wonder OLED bundle. So, taking a look, it says last week a rumor about Nintendo launching a new Switch OLED bundle with a copy of Mario Wonder surfaced online. This was shared by reputable leaker Bill Kuhn of Deal Labs. And now the same source has expanded on this with claims multiple new Switch bundles, including the Mario Wonder one, are on the way to Europe very soon. In total, there are 5 deals listed. Here is a translation via Reset Era. Pack 1, Nintendo Switch Lite. Content unknown for now. Pack 2, Switch Lite. Content unknown. Nintendo Switch Sports Pack contains a Nintendo Switch console, neon blue and red Joy-Cons, plus the pre-installed Nintendo Switch sports games and 12 months of Nintendo Switch Online for the price of $299. Pack 1, Nintendo Switch OLED model, contains a Nintendo Switch OLED model with white color, a download for Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and a 3-month subscription to Nintendo Switch Online for $350. And then Nintendo Switch OLED model, contents unknown. So it's further claimed these bundles will be revealed this week, with at least 3 expected before the end of the month. Bundle announcements like this aren't common ahead of the holiday season. Last year, the same source revealed that the Mario Red Edition Switch OLED deal before it was officially announced. So there you go. And this was my question yesterday. Wondered if we would see a true Wonder version of the Switch, or if it's just going to be the white Switch. And I kind of figured it was going to be the white one with the game bundled in. You're essentially getting the game for free, which I think is great. I think it's a direction that Nintendo should definitely go. And so what are these other ones though? That's a great question. We know that the Zelda Switch Lite is launching this month. Well, what could these other Switch Lites be? We know that last year they did 2 different Animal Crossing ones, one at Target and one at Walmart. But what are we going to see this year? What would you like to see? Let me know in the comments what you would like to see Nintendo do as Switch Lite and Switch OLED bundles. Which games you would like to see included with these bundles? Well, Worms Armageddon Anniversary Edition is getting a physical release, and it is arriving on the eShop this September on the 26th. So, says in case you missed the recent Nintendo partner showcase, Team 17 is reviving its classic Worms Armageddon with help of Digital Eclipse. The Worms Armageddon Anniversary Edition is releasing on multiple platforms, including Switch, and will come with all sorts of improvements like optimized controller support, new display features, and interactive museum, and a built-in copy of the Game Boy Color version. Now, along with all this, Team 17 and Astragon Entertainment have unveiled a physical collector's edition of the game for Switch. And it comes with a copy of the game, an anniversary coin, sticker sheet, collector's box, pin set, poster, and instruction manual. It's a lot of stuff. If you're looking at the video, you can see there's a lot there. Pre-orders for the physical release are now available on sites like Amazon. Worms Armageddon Anniversary Edition is due out on the Switch on the 26th of September, with the hard copy scheduled to follow this release in December 2024. You can find out more about the Anniversary Edition in our previous story. So really cool to see not only a physical release for this with so many cool little trinkets and whatnot. I know some people, maybe don't have much nostalgia for the Worms games. It's a series that I've always enjoyed. I remember having a good time playing it on like Xbox Live and stuff like that back in the day. But having an interactive museum and a built-in copy of the Game Boy Color version, I think is super, super cool. So kind of looking forward to that. And last up here, we are looking at the Last Ninja Collection. It brings 7 retro games to the Switch in 2025. So this is a tribute to the golden era of computer gaming that brings together 7 iconic titles for the first time, with exclusive memorabilia. This is more than a collection. It is a celebration of gaming history and the preservation of pioneering games from the 80s and the 90s. So I'm going to take a look at the trailer here and the Last Ninja Collection. Now I'm curious if I'm going to see stuff that oh my goodness. I am fairly certain that I just had a core memory unlocked. This was one of those games in the arcade. Wow. Like I need to see a little bit more footage, but I want to say it was something that like I might have played in the arcade, but I don't know. It looks awfully familiar. But maybe these are all just computer games. It may have just been computer games, but very, very nostalgic nonetheless. Like from 1982 is when the copyright starts on these ones. So, if you are a child, so this was on the Commodore 64. Interesting. Okay, so we're seeing a Commodore 64 game make its way to the Switch. This was also Commodore 64, the Amiga, and the ZX Spectrum. So I barely played the Commodore 64. Like I did not really touch it much at all. So a third game from the Commodore, and then the Amiga 500, and then heading on over to what is this one called? Ninja Remix is what it looks like. Also Commodore 64. Some of these graphics are funny, honestly. Like the eyes of the ninja are just crazy. Curious if any of these were arcade titles. So it looks like another one's Commodore 64. So these are older titles, like much older titles. But now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, what game did I see at the beginning that made me think of the arcade? Because it doesn't look like any of these were in the arcade. And so, yeah, these are all Commodore 64. So the graphics are something else. And wow, connect a second controller and press A on the title screen for 2-player mode. Like so interesting. Well, curious if any of you guys have any nostalgia towards the Last Ninja Collection, playing them on your Commodore 64 back in the day. So crazy. I now I'm gonna have to do a little bit of searching to see what game I thought I saw, because there was a ninja game in the arcade that I really was like, oh, that looks just like that, but it was something different. So I'm gonna have to dig in and do a little research there and see what were some popular ninja games back in the 80s. But that is gonna do it for this episode of the Nintendo Powercast, and Nintendo News Minute. Appreciate you guys so much. Thank you again for listening, and we will see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.